What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we're talking college basketball betting ahead of a short Friday slate. Just a couple of games, but we'll give you 3 of them. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you by BetMGM, and they have an offer for those of you in legal states with the exception of New York, Puerto Rico, and Nevada. What you'll do is click the link in the video description below, make a deposit of at least $5, then place a $5 wager on any game, any market. Whether that wins or loses, you will get paid out $158 in the form of bonus bets. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 years or older to play in most jurisdictions. All right. Looking back at yesterday, probably the funniest thing was something happened in Louisiana's arena. I don't know what it was exactly, but they had to postpone the game. It was like a power outage or something happened. So that was a weird start, but it actually ended up being a pretty successful day outside of that, and that should have just been graded out as a no bet regardless. Anyway, we had Western Kentucky. They end up with a pretty easy win over FIU, and UC Irvine got the job done. Of course, I wasn't done. I added Drexel, which ended up being a loser, but overall it was a positive day. And now we'll look to string 2 of these together, which is at times been difficult for me, but you guys will be happy to see we have a graphic update. Not quite sized appropriately yet, but it looks pretty cool. So as soon as we get this to fit the actual template, it'll be awesome. But we get things started here with Wisconsin taking on Michigan State. This is the biggest game on deck tonight. Huge game with implications in the Big Ten. Michigan State has struggled quite a bit this year. They also played incredibly difficult non-conference, so some of this comes with the territory. Interestingly, Wisconsin has a better strength of schedule. They're 8th in the country, and Michigan State comes in 24th. Wisconsin has also been nearly untouchable at home. They have 1 loss. It was in the second game of the year against Tennessee, who, according to advanced metrics, is pretty darn good. Right now, they're sitting at 3rd overall in KenPom standings. You can look across some other metrics. This is a top 10 team by most regards. So no shame there, losing to Tennessee. Otherwise, they beat some pretty darn good teams at home and on neutral courts. They beat Marquette at home. They actually already beat Michigan State. That occurred on the road, which was a pretty big win. 13-point victory there. Otherwise, this team has wins over Iowa, Nebraska, Northwestern, Indiana, all at home. A couple of those are some of the better teams in the Big Ten. Stylistically speaking, this is going to be a tricky matchup for Michigan State. Jaden Akins suffered an injury in their last game. He played a season low in minutes, and that's going to be a big problem because they're not rotating the guards a lot here. It's basically your top 3 guys, Hogard, Walker, and Akins. Now you basically are going to bring in Holloman for extra minutes, which is a pretty big downgrade from Akins. And you're also contending with an elite Wisconsin front court. Wisconsin has pretty good guard defense, nothing that's too amazing, but Chucky's been pretty decent. Klesmit and AJ Storr, all fine. Where Wisconsin's really strong is on the inside with Kroll and Wall. And they're 15th in effective height. They have an edge here on Michigan State. And one thing they do really well is generate fouls. That has been something that's plagued Michigan State through much of the season. And they do not have a deep front court. You're basically dealing with Malik Hall, and then they rotate that last position. Sissoko, he's susceptible to fouls more than almost anyone in the country. So I'm worried about the depth of this Michigan State front court having to bang on the interior against Wall, against Kroll, and then being down one of your best guards. And if not down altogether, just limited to some degree. There were reports that Akins practiced, but on a limited basis. So we'll see what he can give you. Anyway, the spread is sitting within 3. You can find 2.5s out there. That's a number I'm completely fine with and willing to take in this Big Ten matchup. Next up, oh, this one's fun. We can barely see the logo for Cal. Cal takes on Stanford, and Cal is the home team here. This is one where I like a road team. We'll see how this has been up and down at times this year, but Stanford is catching points on the road against Cal, a team who I think has not shown very much this year. They're 7-12. Stanford sits at 10-8. The big difference, Stanford has had some of their best players injured through part of the year. You've had Jones miss time. We've recently seen Angel miss time. Jared Bynum is the one that's still out. Luckily, he's kind of like your least common denominator as far as guys on this team go. they've actually gotten really good minutes out of his replacement, Kanan Carlisle, and Michael Jones has been excellent from guard too. Just diving right in, I suppose. They're both shooting 44% from three, absolute flamethrowers from beyond the arc, and they're getting pretty good ancillary pieces. A lot of their front court can shoot threes decently. You have Maxime Reynaud shooting 30%, Andre Stojakovic shooting 36%, Spencer Jones himself is shooting 45%, Brandon Angel on limited attempts shooting 53%, and we already talked about Michael Jones and Kanan Carlisle both shooting over 44% from three. So absolute flamethrowers from beyond the arc. But in addition to that, you have a Stanford team that plays really well inside. This team is 19th in effective height. That's important because Cal is 44th. And this team, effective field goal percentage 18th, Cal 188th on the inside, 59th for Stanford. Cal is 216th. Yes, Cal has a pretty decent front court. Fardaz Amac is awesome, but this team is still somehow 216th in interior defense. Stanford's 59th, and this team, Stanford that is far more efficient on the inside. And then from scoring, we already talked about just the individual flamethrowers that Stanford has from three. They're 7th in the country in three-point percentage, just outside the top 100 in three-pointers per game. Cal is also 312th at defending the perimeter. I cannot believe that Cal is laying any sort of points here, and Stanford's catching points. So to me, getting 2.5 is a gift here. And honestly, I'm seeing some 2.5s juiced Cal's way. If you wait on this, there's a chance you might get a better number. As crazy as that is, it's not the worst idea in the world to wait on a Stanford better number here. Last one. What would it be a Friday night without a greasy game? We have Iona taking on Siena, and this is about as greasy as it gets. If you can see, Siena has 3 wins this year. They're 3-15. Rather than a side, we're going to look to a total. I think the under is playable in this game. The biggest stat you'll see on the screen, which should stand out to you, is pacing. Adjusted tempo, Iona is 215th. Siena is 221st. And from there, Siena is 352nd in the country in offensive efficiency. They'll be clashing with a very strong defense comparatively. I mean, we're talking really low-level competition here. It's not like you're going to see teams that play in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference with a lot of metrics inside the top 100. So Iona having the 153rd defense is actually towards the top of this conference, which should be noted. It's a tough matchup for Siena across the board. And then Iona, for everything they do well, they're not a great scoring team themselves. They're 214th in overall adjusted tempo. In offensive efficiency. But there's a couple other reasons from here I think this might come in towards the under. When you look at injuries on both of these teams, Siena's battled a lot of them this year. Michael Ealy and Michael Ojo are both missing time. So I think with a wide spread, which this game does have, slow pace on both sides, and the inability to score on Siena, we could be looking at an under 140 points in this spot, and this one will play. All right, thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments, feedback, feel free to leave it below. I'll make sure to check that out. And if you have a question, reach out to me on Twitter. I answer all DMs, so don't hesitate. I'm at Matt_Gajewski. Some of you found me recently. DMs are open. Until tomorrow, good luck, everyone. I'll see you again next time.